Can we see this?
Looks good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Please begin the recording.
All set.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. It is Thursday, August 20th, and this is the Legislative Action Team meeting for this month. We skipped last month in July because so many of our incredible volunteers were meeting with their legislators throughout the month. And today we're going to talk about how those meetings went and ground a little bit in where we are in the 90th legislative session. Our hosts tonight are myself, Jordan Goodrich, the communications manager at the Lone Star chapter. We're also joined by Shane Johnson, one of our energy organizers, and Dave Cortez, our chapter director. And we're going to take turns talking about different parts of the work tonight. And this is going to be a very casual conversation. So if you have any questions or anything that you want to offer throughout the presentation, please shout it out, raise your hand, throw it in the chat. We want to hear from all of you, and I hope we get to hear from many of you about your in-district meetings. We are currently in our intro and landscape overview of the agenda. We'll get a little bit into strategy, why we decided to implement this in-district meeting strategy this summer, go into those debriefs, talk about where we are in the session and what's next, including a little video from Cyrus, who's currently in Central America on vacation with his family, but sent in a video so that we can all still hear from him and where we are in the budgeting process. And then we'll close with some actions and upcoming events that we'd love for you all to attend. As I was preparing for tonight's meeting, one of the privileges of my role is that I get to be very informed in the news. And I call it a privilege on purpose because sometimes it can also be very overwhelming. And I need to remind myself that I'm lucky to be plugged in and informed and be a part of a community where I get to talk about the things that are going on in my state with other people who are informed of the things going on. Um, but like I said, it can feel like a lot. Right now, so many of our communities are in the middle of data center fights. They're talking about transmission lines and the infrastructure, the energy infrastructure and future of our state. We've got lieutenant governors that are proposing penalties and more banned books at a time where I've got a kiddo in elementary school, and I'm thinking about what her education is going to be like in our state. And we have ICE occupying communities across the state as well. And it can be very, very daunting. And what I like to do each time I read a piece of news that sits hard in my stomach, is I look for a piece of news that lifts me up a little bit too. So I pulled out some of those headlines for us tonight because I was born and raised in Texas and I don't plan on heading anywhere else anytime soon. And I believe so strongly in the people of this state that when I see stuff like this, I'm like, that's right. That's who we are. This is my Texas. We are witnessing firsthand Texans across races and party lines and socioeconomic statuses coming together in opposition of the destruction happening in Big Bend. And it's been so uplifting in a moment of terror and destruction to see people coming together and fighting this thing and fighting tooth and nail at events, protests, petitions, social media. People are really taking a stand against what's happening in the border wall region and honestly across the country as well, not just in Texas. We're finding common ground fighting these data centers. We're seeing Democratic leaders and women of color leading in election polls across the state. And we're seeing our clean energy keep our grid reliable and stable and cleaner for Texans and the hottest part of the year. And so while my house doesn't maintain the cool temperature all day, I'm lucky that at the end of the night, it hits my perfect 74 degrees. And we can debate about that later if we need to. And I consider myself just really grateful to be a Texan and to know that these are the things that are happening around me and that I get to be a part of. So I've been feeling grateful and overwhelmed, and I'd love to hear how you've been feeling lately. And I have kind of a silly little emoji poll to use, but I very much welcome y'all to um, share in the chat or share off on microphone, come off mute and tell us how you've been feeling. But I'll go ahead and throw up that poll to kind of get us started and see how everybody's doing. How are we feeling tonight?
This is Donna Thomas with Fort Bend County Environmental. I'm
Hi,
overwhelmed like
Donna.
everyone else. I'm
Yeah.
overwhelmed with all the stuff that's going on. It's kind of crazy. I mean, but you still just got to take a breath and breathe in and out. Thank God we can actually breathe in and out based on this air because it's so hot. And then we got the pollution as well in your communities with all the infrastructure that's going on with our communities right now, Black and brown communities, rural area communities. I mean, we're taking the brunt of everything that's happening across the cities and our counties. But we just have to stay in there, stay strong. Out.
Thank you for sharing, Donna.
Go for it,
Definitely
Frank.
seeing yeah.
Frank had his hand up.
The the poll that I'm seeing has no digits in the selection. So there's no meaning to any of the selection. It's just a rectangular box.
Oh no.
There's
Hmm.
so
Oh, I
there's no
thought
way
that
to fill out, at least on my end, there's no way to check anything here.
Uh-oh.
there were
Is it looking
little,
like that?
I thought maybe there was an extra box every time somebody clicked that number.
I I had little faces. You don't have little faces?
Well, it's an empty box on my screen.
Yeah, it
Oh
depends
no.
on if a Zoom app is updated.
Mm.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I already submitted it, so I can't look at it again.
I will show it. I'll end the poll, and that should make it so that everybody else can see it. Let's see. Let's share results. Can you see it now, Frank? The little emoji options?
Well,
Yeah.
I can see the emoji options, but it wouldn't have helped me make a selection.
There's a lot,
I
there's
mean,
a lot to choose from.
they're small and there would have been too much decision making trying to select one.
Yeah.
Totally understand. Is there a word maybe that comes to mind that you'd like to share?
Well, my state of mind changes day to day
Mm,
all the time. So
Yeah.
yeah.
depending on what I have to do with.
I feel overwhelmed and discouraged.
Mm,
And I like the idea of having the good news uh to look for. And I think that was mentioned another night too. And after I went to a book discussion group uh with CEC and just I'm like, please give me a book that gives me some hope.
yeah.
I don't like this going to hell in a handbasket feel.
Mm,
Mhm.
hmm. Yeah. Dave and I were talking about a TV show that we enjoy. I'm definitely a big believer in like, stay informed and look for the good news and then also find the things that just make you happy. Maybe it's not something new like in the news or even related to the work, but um, hanging out with loved ones, going to a book club, watching a show, um, doing art, working in your garden, all of those things. We've got to pour back into ourselves if we're giving so much all the time. Yeah, Frank.
Well, just one difficulty has been there have been such a flood of um, emergency comments needed on this and that, that it's been a real struggle to keep up with. I mean, I subscribe to a number of environmental organizations, and there have been multiple alerts every single day, and it
Mm,
just gets a bit wearing. Um,
yeah.
and also trying to remember which ones you had responded to, and is it is it not good to respond to too many of on similar issues from different parties? But anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you for sharing that reality. I mean, we're not the only organization that you're involved with, and I know personally how much we send. So thank you
oh,
for, yeah.
well, the good thing is there are a lot of organizations submitting comments and encouraging their
Mm,
members to submit comments. I wouldn't even begin to know how to estimate how many different groups I get alerts from.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a lot of overlap, so
Yeah,
at least it's not all different things.
Yeah. Studying up on a couple issues at a time.
but there are a lot of critical issues, where decisions are being made on environmental policy and in every category.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Dave, I'd love to hear from you
Uh,
a little bit.
EA,
Oh,
EPA is
Donna, go ahead.
EPA is trying to limit our participation for comments.
Mm.
And I think I sent that out to a lot of organizations. Pass it to your contacts. Make sure everybody respond to this because you got until tomorrow till 11:30 tomorrow night to make your comments to EPA, making sure that they don't limit your participation for public comments for air permits.
For sure.
Yes.
You all, it's weird to say, almost 20 years ago when I started doing this work. I was 23 years old. I'll be 43 in 2 weeks. Um, and I came out into this work in El Paso fighting a copper smelter like a ball out of a cannon, right? Ready to storm and take over things, win. And I got checked very quickly. And I was very fortunate to learn, like, if you're going to fight Goliath, or eat an elephant, it's one bite at a time. It's a slow journey. And one of the things that keeps me really grounded in this state, in this land in Texas, we've been successful on some things. Um, Sometimes it's lawsuits, sometimes it's a policy passed. Every time it requires relationships. And the thing that the folks in power right now attack most is our ability to build relationships. They do everything they can to put us against our neighbors or to get people to not like each other. And there will always be a need for that. And it's hard, right? Like on the inside, if I wasn't in this meeting, I'd just be in my own shell. I don't want to talk to people. I'm an introvert. But we got to find ways to talk to people. And yesterday, I spent the day at Texas Parks and Wildlife. And all those folks think, well, not all of them, but a lot of people there think Sierra Club is a radical leftist organization. We don't want that flag flying. We want to be very respectful. And I kind of got to make a joke and make light of that, talking to people, just like, hey, I'm from West Texas too. Um, the Santa Elena Canyon Chisos are very special to me and my family. And break down those barriers and those biases and prejudice just by having conversation, asking people what they do, where they're from, who else they're talking to about this, what Austin can do to help, and then talk a little bit about y'all and how we've got people who care about that work all over the state. And it was really a pleasure to tell them how many people around the country are asking what they can do to support Big Bend. And it's true. So we're trying to just help that happen. And I just really encourage you all to try and I know we're on the spectrum of different ages and experiences and capacity, but there's always people out there that don't know how to plug in, don't know the details about an issue, and we can provide that. That's what's amazing about this group. I mean, if I want to learn the inside and out of nuclear policy, I know I can talk to Carolyn Kroom, right? But how do we magnify Carolyn Kroom to reach hundreds of people, thousands of people? That's our challenge. We gotta figure out those connections. Let me briefly say, Big Bend, there's a lot of progress. There's a lot of good writing about it. Yesterday, we managed to get another El Pasoan, Parks and Wildlife Commission Chairman Paul Foster speak for the first time publicly against border walls in state parks and the national park. And that's part of what we have to keep doing is squeeze and build those relationships across the political spectrum, across the perceived divisions in and amongst Texans. There's this pause that we're told is for another 11 days, but there's still a ton of material being located in the region. They're still moving forward with construction outside of the state parks up towards Valentine. and outside of west and north of Presidio. So, there's a lot to do. There were a great press conference today in San Ignacio and down towards Laredo in the valley, because there's been more litigation there. So there's a great movement happening in different parts of the border. No Big Ben Wall on Instagram is a great resource to follow, and No Border Wall on Instagram is a great resource to follow. We can send those out after the call and stay in touch with us. We're really trying to make this a national issue as much as possible. And so far, all eyes are on Big Bend. All right, let me pass it back to Jordan to move us on to the next section.
Thank you, Dave, for that update. The countdown continues, y'all. And so now I am going to welcome Shane Johnson to the floor to talk about where we are in the legislative process of the 90th legislative session and kind of our thought process behind the work so far and where it's headed. Take it away, Shane.
Thanks, Jordan and Dave. That was a great, energizing recap of what's been happening lately. So, like Dave's getting at, we're more powerful together. We need all of you to plug in and your network so that we can make our advocacy through this legislative process as effective as possible, and be able to get some of these big wins. And thanks to all of your help and helping us amplify our presence around the state, we've been able to get through these different parts of the legislative process and make our presence felt over the last 6 months or so, from the interim charges, which are basically studies they do between sessions, to numerous hearings, I think, and half a dozen of them on data centers alone because of the public pressure, that we've been able to have a presence at and put pressure on legislators for. And then that brings us through July and today of our interim in-district meetings with legislators around the state, where we prioritize so far focus, on Texas senators to make sure that they can hear from their own constituents that they need to be paying attention to different environmental priorities on our platform. And then in the interim period, we've been focusing on highlighting 4 issues from our whole platform as a whole. Water quality standards, data center energy use, data center water use, and then constitutional access to beaches, which has to do with SpaceX taking over what should be public beaches. But that's just the beginning. We need all your help to continue and to keep mobilizing our friends and family and neighbors so that we can have a bigger presence and be that much more effective going forward. And that's going to dovetail with our staff meeting with legislative offices, with continued constituent meetings. We actually have one scheduled tomorrow with Senator Bob Hall's office, and then broader, more grassroots pressure ranging from social media actions to press and emails and calls, and that's really putting into practice our Sierra Club theory of change and the goals we have of getting more people together, building our people power so that we have the influence to combat the organized money and the giant companies and the mega rich who think that they can buy whatever legislation and laws they want if they have enough money. And go to the next slide. And an integral part of that process and keeping you involved and getting people ready for the next steps is doing one-on-ones between these legislative action team calls and between bigger events like the constituent in-district meetings. So be sure to sign up for a one-on-one with me to check in and so that we can hear from you. What are you most interested in? Are there specific skills you want to learn, or a training you want to receive that Sierra Club can provide? Do you have my Calendly link, Jordan?
I don't have it on me. Maybe during the debriefs. Could you share it in the chat, please?
Oh, I got it. It's I'll put that just put it in the chat. I have
Perfect.
1,000,001 tabs open, so I could pull it up immediately.
Nice.
But this is to get you plugged into the process. Um, Alan, are you asking for how do you schedule? Maybe you didn't see the link yet in the chat, but basically, yeah, this process we're seeing on the screen is step by step how we can continue building power, how we get from each of you all, which is a great and powerful group, but it's still only about 20 folks, and how we can get your network in, get more people plugged into the work, and then be able to grow that influence we're talking about to pressure legislators. You can call me. Probably the easiest way would be to schedule a meeting with this link, but I can also just be available over phone call as well.
All right. Are you gonna, maybe you and Alan can follow up after the call?
Yeah, I'll follow up with Alan.
Perfect. That sounds great. As Shane mentioned, all of the policies that we're talking about right now in these in-district meetings stem from our 2027 policy platform. We're not going to dive into every issue right now, but I just wanted to lift it back up. Shane will share a link in the chat to it so that if you haven't had the opportunity to kind of comb through all of the issues that we're talking about just yet, just take a minute, pour your coffee, put on a podcast and see what we're working towards. And in your conversations with Shane, if there is something on our list that you are passionate about or that you are an expert in or that you want to learn more about, you can absolutely lift that up to him so that we can make sure that you're plugged in with the right staff members, with the right community partners. It, like he said so beautifully, it takes people power and it takes y'all to make these changes happen at the Capitol. So we are off to a good start. It feels like everything is just around the corner, but it's August. So we've got time to build this power. We have time to build our momentum, to build our skills. And I highly, highly encourage everyone to have a meeting with Shane. And it's not a serious conversation. It's a check-in, it's a chat. So keep it casual and bring your best puns because I promise he will. So I also wanted to take a second to lift up our upcoming Water for People and the Environment Committee meeting. So I know that a lot of y'all are involved in multiple different Sierra Club spaces. So if you're interested in water issues, this is going to be a particularly special WPEC meeting because we're going to be talking about produced water and participating in an action hour with our friends at Commission Shift, focused specifically on submitting comments for an upcoming House on Energy Resources Committee meeting. So if you're looking to take action in community, take action with people, and also be online with experts from Commission Shift as well as Evgenia Spears from the Lone Star chapter, this is a great place to do it. I will be there September 9th, and I hope that y'all will be there too. So keep an eye out for that link in the chat as well. Okay, we have some of these wonderful, amazing, brilliant people pictured here in this photo on our call tonight. This is our Houston Sierra Club representing with Senator Molly Cook. They were the first in-person in-district meeting to take place over the course of the summer. And now we get to hear from all of y'all who have been having these meetings, whether in person or virtual, or maybe you've had a conversation with a legislator or their staff outside of specifically this window that the Sierra Club's been working in. Whatever your story, we want to hear it. If you're a part of a team, share your perspective, debrief a little bit together, whatever feels right. This is an open conversation. I'm going to go ahead and pull down the slides so that we can see each other's faces. And if there's anybody that is super duper pumped to talk about their meeting, I would love for you to jump in with your name, your district number, and the legislator's name that you met with too. So I'm going to pull this down, and I know that somebody's going to be just ready to go.
Is like
Yeah.
now? Okay.
Yeah, go, Barbara, go.
Well, it was really nice that you organized this for us. I would not really have known how to go about getting a meeting like we got. And it was so convenient for me because our new District 9 State Senator Taylor Remitt has his office like 2 miles from my house. So it's really great. And he was very, very personable, and it was very relaxed and kind of wide-ranging conversation. But I feel like Shane was talking about building relationships, or maybe that was Dave, but I felt like that was it. Like two of us, Spencer and I, went in there and just chatted with him and his district director, and we just talked about all different things. He's really not that informed about environmental issues, but he's very interested. You know, it's not his top concern, but we said, we think this should be on your website. This should, be one of those things you add to your website.
Yeah.
And that's a good suggestion. But it was just a real treat to be able to get connected like that and build that relationship. So now I feel like for example, the North Texas, what is it called? North Texas Community of Governments, or NCT COG. They are putting on a webinar on the 28th about data centers and their impact and policies. And so I sent that over to his district director so that they can watch that. And he said, thank you.
Awesome.
And he has a policy team in Austin that they're going to share that with. So I'm like, I did something. Yay.
You did so much. That's amazing. With the follow-up too. Way to go, Barbara and team. Thank you for participating. And I just can't thank you and the Fort Worth crew enough for being a part of this.
I just really appreciated your help to coordinate that. And I guess what I would be most passionate about is getting the ability to do more with my district, acting local. I mean, I'm really concerned about the wall in Big Bend, but I'm at the other end of the state, and I feel like, gosh, I hope that the people down there are jumping on that, which they seem to be.
Yeah.
Briefly, Barbara,
Dave, are you?
just briefly, we can't win if these people in power aren't hearing about a range of issues in their local community. Okay, so you in Fort Worth, Tarrant County, you got to tell them about the wall. You got to let them know that you're a resource, just like you did on everything else, and everybody else, same thing on these other issues, desal, water quality standards, you name it.
Yep.
They have to hear from all corners.
I suppose so, because he's a state senator. So, but we also gave him your handout about SpaceX and the beaches, and they were like, "We never thought about that." So,
Yeah. And I love the idea of, as we continue, spoiler alert, there are state representatives too. So Shane and I just might be knocking on y'all's doors to continue conversations with beyond senators and getting to some of the state reps as well. And so connecting you, like you mentioned, with the folks that are your neighbors, and whether they're Sierra Club members or not, now you are that resource that Dave mentioned and the person that can get them connected and a part of those meetings too. So anytime you're telling these stories to folks in your community and they're like, that sounds cool, I want to meet Senator Remitt, be like, join the Sierra Club. They'll hook you up.
well, we met him before because we had him come to one of our meetings when he was running, and we had him come in to speak a little bit. But he doesn't remember all those people that he meets. But when you meet with him one-on-one in his office, it's different.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right. Frank.
Well, just very
Houston, go for it.
quickly, 4 of us from the Houston group met with State Senator Molly Cook. That's Senate District 15. It went very well. She was very welcoming. We complimented her on her constituent newsletter. They really do put out a very good regular constituent newsletter. We covered the 4 topics that you had circulated the cheat sheets on, which was very helpful to be able to provide that level of detail on those specific issues. Of course, Molly Cook is one of the most progressive members of the state Senate. She's sympathetic to on all of our issues. We really didn't have to lobby her, explain a whole lot to her. Her background is as an emergency room nurse, and I believe she still works in that role. So she has and she's been very active in the Houston region in terms of transportation issues, especially freeways that are out of control and things like that.
Mm.
And that's how I know her from 6 or 7 years ago. Anyway, she's one of the more likely people to be on our side on any issue, and so it went very well. It was good to actually make contact, so that we have somewhat of a relationship, that sort of thing. So hopefully that'll pay off in the future.
Absolutely. Molly Cook was the only state senator to receive a 100% scorecard rating
Yeah.
in the last legislative session. So
It was
I
it was
really
an easy task for us,
and still so important though, because it's like I have Senator Roland Gutierrez is my state senator, and he's like meh, right? And so there's a on our issues. And so there's a lot of room to push there, right? And say like, well, you could have you literally voted against our position in the last session. So stay informed so you can vote better next session. But with a senator like Molly Cook, it goes past pushing and you move towards that relationship building, honestly, with Senator Remitt too, of like, can you carry legislation? Can you be a champion? Can you use your political weight, your relationships, your contacts across the aisle to get things moving? And so you making that contact with her this early, and she highlighted y'all in her newsletter afterwards as well, thanking the Sierra Club for showing up. So just like starting that so early, I think that there's a lot of room to work with her through the session. And I'm so grateful to y'all for starting that out.
One concern I had was that she may have difficult relationships with who's the head of the state senate, Dan Patrick. But fortunately, she seemed to feel that she had a very workable relationship with him, and that she wasn't worried about being targeted as one of the most liberal members and that sort of thing. So that was good to hear. I think she knows how to handle herself in the state senate in terms of how she deals with these issues and that sort of thing. So that was good.
That's awesome. Linda, is Linda still here? Is there anything you want to add, Linda? You were a part of that meeting too, right?
Oops. Wait. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, not really. I mean, it was just great. And of course, I already knew who she was, and so it was just a real positive experience. And I just wanted to be a part of, I don't know, not that we need to, I guess since she's already got 100%, we don't need to really make an impression with her, but I guess anybody else that maybe wasn't so sure, or if they were kind of junior or whatever, I would think they would make a bigger impact if a group of four or whatever show up instead of just a single person, especially if they're not a constituent. But even if they're not, it's still important. But I just think it gives more weight if you got two constituents, which we did, and we had two other Sierra Club members.
That's great. It's always good to go with friends. I know I'd want a buddy. I need to find more buddies in San Antonio to go to meetings with. All right. Who else here? I know that Rob Bartlett has participated in a meeting. So not to call you out, Rob, but if you're able to talk and you want to talk a little bit about y'all's conversation earlier this summer,
Hey there.
Senator, yeah.
I've been listening and working on something else, so I'm sorry. I had no preparation to share anything. Are you referring to the meeting that Carol Warrenow and I had with Sean Opperman, who's the chief of staff for Senator Joan Huffman? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, I am. And so I know your partner Carol's here too. And so
Yeah,
if
I honestly, I just assumed Carol weigh in as much as me, but suffice it to say, if you wanted a quick overview, I can share with you what happened very quickly.
yeah, please.
Carol and I teamed up way back in the spring, and we said but before the tax incentive thing had become, a big flaming issue with regard to data
Hmm.
centers. And we said, well, we just so happen to live in the district of the chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, so why don't we just go after this issue? And by the way, Roger Diedrich has been involved in our mini team. I apologize, I have not done anywhere near the number of tasks that I should have done to really make this thing take off. But that said, we said, okay, well, let's reach out, let's contact the office, let's see if we can get a meeting, maybe in a few weeks. So we called the phone number at the Austin office for our senator, Joan Huffman, chairman of finance, Senate Finance. The young person answering the phone, of course, they're always very helpful. They said, "Oh, why don't you just email the district director?" So we said, "Okay." So we emailed the district director, said we want a meeting about data centers and tax incentives. In district, we were expecting to meet with the district director. Within 15 minutes, I got an email back from Sean Opperman, who's the chief of staff and essentially the guy that runs the Senate Finance Committee on behalf of Joan Huffman,
Hmm.
asking, I'm on this issue. Are you guys interested? Do you want to have a call? Completely unexpected. Now, to put it in context, this was later in the week following the June 23rd House Natural Resources public hearing where hundreds of people filled buses and drove to Austin from Hood County, where 9 data centers are being planned, right? So they filled the room and overwhelmed that committee. So we gathered that in that particular moment, I think a lot has happened since then. The governor's done some things that have changed the landscape, but at that particular moment, I think they were very interested to find out what's going on. And so their top guy responded. I'm not sure that that's going to happen. In fact, that's not happening. That's not happening with some other people who are trying to connect with their senators and House reps on these committees. It's not happening now, but it happened then anyway. So Carol and I lucked out. We said, well, let's have a Zoom meeting because 2 of us want to meet with you. And he said, sure, I'll send you a link. So Carol and I figured out the best time, Wednesday at 10 or whatever. And so literally every time we responded, he replied within half an hour. I mean, it was really unexpected and surprising. Suffice to say, we had a 30-minute Zoom with the chief of staff for the senator who runs the Senate Finance Committee. Very respectful. He provided a lot of information that we haven't really shared out all that much, but very insightful based on how this whole data center thing is unfolded. But suffice to say, he was very amenable. He listened very carefully. He actually was proactive in that discussion because of what happened in the House Natural Resources Committee, where they only invited their preferred data center spokespersons, and no citizens were invited at that time. It created a lot of animosity. So what Senator Huffman did was pretty smart. She said, "Look, we're only going to have one invited rep or one invited speaker, and then we're going to open it up for the community." I think it lasted until 10 o'clock at night.
Hmm.
In that situation, they listened to almost everybody. But in any case, she said, we're only going to have the controller's office come and give us the technical information. And then after that, we're going to open up. Now, what they actually did is they let a kind of a snarky rep from the data center coalition to come and give his point of view. And then they let one citizen from the Matagorda County area give her perspective. So they kind of changed that. But he was very proactive in that they had met and they had already thought through, how are we going to run this Senate Finance Committee meeting in a way that doesn't engender the kind of negative feedback that came out of the House Natural Resources. And Carol, that's my quick summary. I wish you would weigh in and give your perspective, because I think you might have an even more insightful viewpoint.
I have a feeling that Joan Huffman and her staff spend a lot of time in Austin because she is chair of finance and the budget is a big deal. I mean, it's huge. So she has to meet with people quite a bit. She's a smart lady. When the data center person showed up, she made a comment later that said, notice that when the public comments started happening, he left, which was pretty insightful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she's a smart woman, you know?
She called him out and kind of beat him about the head and shoulders in absentia.
Yeah.
I love
So
that.
she even though she's fairly conservative, she listens. And I think that was the beginning of all of the stuff around the data centers. There was the meeting before that, the preliminary meeting, I forget which committee, where all those people showed up. And so she was briefed to know that things were going to happen. And to also the controller that was invited resigned. And I think it's because of elections rather than because of the data centers, but he resigned and she had to appoint an interim right away. I mean, well, the governor did, I guess. But the person she invited couldn't come because he wasn't in that position anymore, which is kind of strange. Nobody commented on that. Well,
Interesting.
but I've sent her some emails since, and she's not big about replying. I got a reply from the governor on the wall. He said, "I'm in favor of border security." It was a canned response. Oh, well.
Thank you, Carol. Thank
Yeah,
you,
I do a
Rob.
lot. I have an email list, and what I basically do is draft an email and send one at a time to anybody who's involved, and I modify it just a little bit and see what happens. When I tried to phone them, their voicemail boxes were full.
We've experienced that as well when we're trying
So
to
I
set up
emailed them
meetings.
all.
Yeah. Good for
So
you.
that's something to do. And the Texas Tribune, I think, has all the emails and phone numbers and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, you sent me that.
Yeah.
I'll send it out to everybody too. Maybe we could do something similar on our website as well.
Yeah.
I love it, y'all. Okay, I know that. Oh, there have been other meetings that have happened with Senator Jose Menendez in San Antonio. There was a meeting with Sonia Chapa, one of the staffers from Senator Donna Campbell's office. And there was a meeting with a staffer from Senator Schwertner's office as well. So has anybody here that I'm like names that I'm not seeing participated in any of those and want to, or any other meetings, any other updates? Yeah, Rob, go ahead.
I can share with you that a combination of Citizens Climate Lobby members and Third Act members, and I don't know if anyone from who's a member of the Sierra Club specifically met with they had two meetings with two different aides for Schwertner back in June or early July. But I also know that Cyrus Reed had, on a completely separate track, the plug-in solar legislation track, Cyrus Reed has stepped in to help out there. And he mentioned that he had been in touch with their aides. So Schwertner's aides are being contacted from a variety of angles. So I would say the more angles, the better, the more different groups who reach out and keep his aides' feet to the fire. Because as chairman of Business and Commerce, he's in the crosshairs on a variety of these issues. They were what I
Absolutely.
can report the CCL member, two CCL members and a Third Act member who met with Schwertner about the data center set of issues. I can say they, of course, were non-committal, but they also expressed awareness of the problem. So
Awareness is
there's
the first step.
openness, maybe.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
So there's openness, maybe.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you for adding that.
Yeah.
I see Caitlin just entered the room. And Caitlin, if you're getting settled, if you don't want to speak tonight, you do not have to by any means, but we are doing report outs. So if you wanted to talk at all about y'all's meeting with Senator Campbell's staff, we'd love to hear from you. No pressure though.
And you're muted if you're speaking.
I think she's in the car.
Yeah. Be safe. We'll give you a couple seconds, but a loud place. It was great. She's in a loud place, but it was great. Excellent. We will leave it on that happy note that the meeting was great, and we'll watch a quick video from Cyrus to talk about what's coming up in the session. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart for doing this. Everything that you've shared is so uplifting. I'm like full of energy. I feel like I just drank a triple, quadruple espresso, which is like I'm just feeling so good and so grateful. And I want to lift up something that Rob said really quickly before we get into the budget stuff, because it's going to be something that we address throughout these meetings, that it is so important for these legislators, these decision makers, whoever we're targeting, to hear from multiple people, from multiple organizations in multiple ways. And it's important that the message that we're sharing is consistent and the ask that we're making is consistent, especially as we get towards, making those specific requests around legislation and specific bills. So stay in the loop, stay involved in the legislative action team. And when you are hearing stuff from your other organizations or from your communities, share it with us too, so that we can be in the loop on the conversations that are happening and we can be aware of the conversations and the things that are happening on the ground, because y'all are like the soldiers on the ground doing the work. So make sure that you're sharing back with us just like you did tonight. And thank you again. All right, it would not be a legislative meeting without hearing at least once from Cyrus. So let me get this going again. I think the number of times that I do this, it would get easier, but it just doesn't. Okay, can we see the video? Screen at least?
Yeah, we see your screen.
Do we hear it?
Hey, y'all, it's Cyrus
Yep.
Reed, your
Yes.
Legislative and Conservation Director for the Lone Star Chapter of the Sierra Club. I know y'all are meeting tonight. Wanted to give you kind of a 2-minute update on what's happening on the one issue the legislature in 2027 has to approve, and that's the state's 2-year budget. Every legislative session, all the House members and Senate members get together through the committee process and pass a state budget for the next 2 years. And you might think, well, 2027 is still a ways away. We don't need to worry about it. You're wrong. You got to start worrying about it now. And the reason is that on July 15th, the governor, lieutenant governor, and the speaker through the Legislative Budget Board asked every single university, every single state agency to start preparing their legislative appropriation request, which is kind of like a draft budget. All of those state agencies are busy getting those together. They'll be submitting them in the month of August, depending on the university or state agencies. The deadlines are slightly different, but basically in the month of August, they'll be submitting those. They will include their base budget request, which will be 3% less than last time, because those are the instructions they were given, plus any exceptional item requests. We, the public, have the opportunity to also give some input to the Legislative Budget Board, to the governor, lieutenant governor, speaker, the main committees now. And when I say now, I really mean in late September and October, there will be public hearings. Any member of the public can go. The state agencies make their request. It's sort of an informal public hearing. They're asked questions by representatives of the governor, lieutenant governor, and speaker, and of Senate Finance and House Appropriations. And then any member of the public can come and say for a couple of minutes, hey, we agree with these requests or these exceptional items, or we think there's some things missing. We'll be there. We're always there. And we hope that as many members of the Sierra Club and this legislative action team can also be there, either in person or even doing written comments. And we'll likely have an action alert about all this probably in the mid-September timeframe when we have the exact dates for those hearings. But looking forward to working with y'all to get the proper amount of money in the proper programs to better protect Texans and our natural environment.
I always feel like clapping at the end of Cyrus's videos, and I edit a lot of them. I wanted to, we'll move pretty quickly through the last couple slides just to honor our hour-long meeting tonight. But in September, our legislative action team meeting will be on Thursday, September 17th. So Shane, if you could please share the registration for that, because it is relevant. We will be talking about the Legislative Budget Board in more detail. We'll have that action alert ready so that we can start practicing submitting our comments and taking action together. And to tease out just a little bit more, we'll also be talking about some more really awesome volunteer opportunities that we are building out so that as you get more practice in this work, as you bring more people into this work, as you get more comfortable and confident in your skills engaging with your legislators, we make sure that we are supporting you in your advocacy journey and giving you as much support and opportunities as you're looking for too. So come to the September Legislative Action Team meeting, invite your friends, invite your network, invite everybody that you know, because we have a great time here. And Cyrus will be back to walk us through all of those nitty-gritty details that he's so good at. But before that September meeting, the second bullet here is our endorsed candidate town hall that we are hosting virtually for Sierra Club members at the end of August. That link will go into the chat as well. Right now, we are expecting attendance from Vicki Goodwin, Nathan Johnson, and John Rosenthal. They are all endorsed candidates for their respective offices that they're running for in November. And they're going to talk about environmental issues. They're going to tell us how we can get involved in their campaigns and build a greener Texas future together. So please, please, please come to that. And then in October and November, we will have legislative action team meetings as well with specific topics to be determined. So just a little snapshot, a little preview of what we've all got going on over the next couple months. And here are our wonderful endorsed candidates. And then last but not least, I promised an action. So we have an action that you can take tonight, and it is to call on members of Congress and the governor to stop bulldozing and border wall construction in Big Bend National Park. So that link will also be shared in the chat, and we invite you to sign this action alert, and it'll send a direct message to your Congress people. And it will, you have the opportunity to write your own personal message too. And so to Dave's point earlier, if you are in Fort Worth, if you're in North Texas, if you're like me and in San Antonio, why do you care about Big Bend? Why is it important that even living an entire state away, this matters to you, and the meaning of your congressperson taking action matters to you? So get those messages in. And tonight, maybe, if you have time, and we will make sure that those get delivered directly to your elected leaders. All right. That is all I have. Dave and Shane, is there anything that you would like to add or say to kind of wrap us up?
Briefly, come on the 31st, please. August 31st to the town hall. Please share it around. We're restricted on how we can share it as staff, but you all can tell your neighbor, postman, anybody you want. I was texting earlier with Representative Hinojosa, and she is going to be on the road and unsure about signal stability. So she's going to make a video for you all to talk about her campaign, talk about Big Bend, talk about data centers, water. It'd be cool. Good time. Love to see you all there and figure out how we can do more than just vote to get these candidates elected.
Well said.
And I'll just
Go ahead, Shane.
I'll just say quickly remind, please do sign up for one-on-ones with me if you have any questions, you have reflections on how your in-district meetings went, or you just want to continue this conversation and get it more into more in depth, more into detail than we could on the call today.
And I see that we are missing the link for the Big Bend action, which you need. Oh, thank you, Dave.
Got you. Yeah,
That's an important part.
it's working. It's just one step, though. Ask 5 people to do the same.
Yes. And if you're ever looking to post on social media or, put something together, maybe an email that you can blast out to folks or something that you can post on LinkedIn or whatever your preferred method of communication is, and you're not sure where to start or you're looking for a picture that you want to share with it, that's what I'm here for. So please, please, please always know that I'm a resource to you if you're looking to take your advocacy to kind of like a more public place. And I'd be happy to support you doing that. All right, y'all. I feel pretty good. Y'all are incredible.
Yeah, I love this team. It's great to be here with you all tonight.
This is my favorite part of my job. So come in September. Everyone can sing happy birthday to me and Dave too.
Yep, and the town hall. Don't miss it.
Yes, 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 yes. All righty, y'all. Have a great night. Be safe.
Good night.
Sweet dreams when you get to them.
Good night,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.